To chair the session, I'd like to invite Dr. Suhas Nawala. Dr. Suhas. Dr. Naresh Jadhav. Dr. Chuprada Sandra. Dr. Naresh Jadhav Onil Kardi. As Dr. Suhas is not present right now, I'd like to request Dr. Chidananda Bhuya, the most senior most oncologist of Guwahati, to kindly take their chair, sir. And now I'd like to request their chair to set the proceeding in motion.
A very good evening. I'm very happy to see that the hall is full. I drove from Guwahati this morning and I'm very happy to see that this response at Tezpur. I worked in Guwahati. Dr. Govind Babu and Raghu are my batchmates, friends. We had been together in the fight against cancer. Ganesham, here in the fight against cancer almost 40 years now. And I'm very happy that I'm sharing the session of Govind Babu. Let us hear from him first, the topic.
Good afternoon and thank you very much, Venkat, for asking me to be here, and greetings from Bangalore. There are lovely things across all our country, and I've seen some of the things in the last couple of days in Assam. Really wonderful. So I'll show you some pictures from Bangalore as well. So greetings to you from Bangalore. I'll be talking about essentially recurrences in cancer, why they happen, and what progress we have made, and also try and touch upon some of the myths that are associated with cancer. Next slide. So I'll start with some basics. Next slide. So if we look at the human body, it has about 100 trillion cells. Why I put this slide and a couple of next two slides is to tell you how enormous information is there in the human body. We just take our body for granted. I think it's important we understand what nature has given us, and we must appreciate what we have. So each cell has DNA in the nucleus. I'm sure all of you know from your school that nucleus has DNA. How many of you don't know that? Please raise your hand. Good, everybody knows. That's nice. So if you stretch the DNA in a cell, it's equal to about 2 meters in length. And if you say that an average human being has 100 trillion cells, if you put all this DNA end to end, you have the length as equal to 100 times the distance from Earth to Sun. So that is how long the DNA is in your body. And if you look at the distance from Earth to Sun, it is 98 million miles. So that is how much of DNA you have. And why is this so? Because again, to give you the magnitude, if you put 25,000 strands of DNA together, it's equal to the thickness of one human hair. So that is how complicated and wonderful our body is. Next slide. So DNA in each cell has 3 billion chemical letters, which we call as bases. And this is, the DNA is what actually gives the information for the whole body to function as it does. And the information of this is equal to 200 yellow pages in a small font. I'm not sure how many of you know what yellow pages is. Anybody knows what yellow pages is? Okay. My generation will know because this was the telephone directory which used to come with a landline. So we used to call that as yellow pages. So typing this information continuously at 200 letters per minute will take us 29 years. So that is how much information that our body has, and we need to appreciate that. Next slide. Next. So now coming to chromosomes and genes, I'm sure all of you know we have 23 pairs of chromosomes in each cell, and each chromosome is like a recipe book, and each recipe is a gene. We have 13,000 genes in the human genome. So that is how many recipes our body can make from each cell. So I put this up to just make us understand the enormity of information that is stored in our body and we just take our body for granted and misuse our body, and that leads to all the problems that we have. And I think Dr. Raghu very nicely told us in his first talk how lifestyle produces a lot of problems. Next slide. So I've just put up all the therapies that we have for treating cancer today, and for me as a medical oncologist, I need to know about chemotherapy and biotherapy. And if you see, I've increased the size of the font as we go down, because the function of each one of these therapies is gradually shrunk and the biotherapy is increased. When we talk about biotherapy, it includes targeted therapy, monoclonal antibodies, and the newest armamentarium that we have is the checkpoint inhibitors, also called as immunotherapy. Next slide. So what are the treatment objectives that we have? Of course, everybody wants to cure a patient. The patient also wants to be cured. So that is our first priority. But as you already heard, many of our patients come in late stages. So there we are trying to see if we can prolong survival, also improve quality of life by decreasing the side effects and also by giving good supportive care. So we follow some rules in oncology, and the first rule of oncology should be, this person is Dr. Nick Thatcher, with whom I worked for some time on a lung cancer project, and he said next, tumor should shrink faster than the patient. That is of utmost importance. Next slide. So I'll take 2 or 3 diseases to touch upon what progress we have made and why these recurrences happen. First is breast cancer. The first question that most people have been asking is, should we treat breast cancer? Next. So this is a slide taken from the data from MD Anderson, which is one of the leading cancer centers of the world, showing you that treatment across the timeline from 1974 to 2000, the survival has definitely improved, as you can see. These are but survival curves, and as you can see here, the top one is the yellow line, that is from 1995 to 2000. And as you can see here, the metastatic breast cancer, that is stage 4 breast cancer, where the survival in 1974 to 79 was less than 10%, has almost reached 60% today. And this is a slide of 2000, and in 2025 it's even better. So this is just to tell you, yes, treatment works. So this is again to show you some evidence. This is breast cancer incidence, and if you see, the incidence is highest in Sweden. Next slide. But if you look at mortality, it's the highest in United Kingdom. Next. So treatment works, that we understand now. Next slide. And again, if you see, the UK incidence is exhibiting the highest mortality is in UK. Next. That again tells us that society that taking breast cancer seriously get better results. So this is again to show you that we have stages of breast cancer. This is early stage 0, 1, and 2. And stage 3 for our right? Why is this important? Again, because survival is dependent on stage and the time of diagnosis. And as you can see here, stage 1, this is 5 years survival can be as much as 84%, whereas in stage 4, it is just 10 and 11%. So when we talk about treatment modalities, radiotherapy is essentially a essentially local treatment. So it is essentially like pulverization or pulverization, and to decrease the local prevalence is give radiation. And in the systemic therapy we have chemotherapy and hormonal therapy, and this is we talk about adjuvant therapy earlier. And the selection of treatment is based on the stage and the menopausal status of the lady and the hormonal status. So we talk about adjuvant systemic therapy by mentioning that the stage is relatively uncertainty, there is no evidence of disease as of now. So when we say a patient needs to take treatment, the question is how long can I wait before I start treatment? Can I wait for 1 year, 2 years? I have so many things to do. Let me finish all of that. But there is this data to show that commencing treatment early saves lives, and this is data from almost 87 studies, well over 10,000 patients. And this has shown that if the delay is to 3 to 6 months, the 5-year survival increases by 7%, and if it is more than 6 months, it increases by 12%. And when we give adjuvant immunotherapy, it is a big and relatively small neighbor sees or a general physician sees, they should go with the literature that nothing can be done for these patients. There is evidence to show that chemotherapy given for these patients actually with such a great extent and really cure that. Next slide. And the same thing is shown on the CCC. Next. So one of the questions that has been posed is, the cancer was early and surgery has already been removed. Why is the doctor suggesting chemotherapy and radiation? Especially in today's time, everything is looked at as a business. So patients think that the doctor is making money, or the corporate hospitals want me to spend money because they want to make a business. But then that is not so. Next slide. We do know that cancer can come back, and many of these factors that we look at is the tumor size, or the disease size. And there is a slide to show that as the size of the tumor increases, the chances of recurrence are high. And on the right side, it shows the grading of the tumor. The higher the grading, the higher the chances of recurrence. And based on all this, we advise adjuvant chemotherapy for patients so that the chances of recurrence are not decreased. This again is a slide to show that there are various factors which produce recurrence, and some of them are, like I mentioned, tumor size, the lymph node, also the ERPR, this is called hormone receptor status, estrogen receptor status, and all these have a bearing on the recurrences. And if you see here, the first highest incidence of recurrence is in the first 1.5 to 2 years. After that, it comes down. But even after 10 years, in a specific subset of patients, the recurrence can happen. All this I'm showing because it's important for us to remember that recurrences can happen and how we can try and prevent these recurrences. Next slide. So, evaluation of breast cancer management. Hippocrates way back in 400 BC had said that breast cancer is a systemic disease. Next. But then people thought that it was a local disease sometime in 1700s, and they looked at lymphatic dissection. This was by Hunter in 1772, and he said that by removing the disease and the lymph nodes, you are curing it. Next. But we soon found that it was not so. So Hasted was a person who advocated radical mastectomy, doing more, and he thought by removing a lot more of the organs and the structures around the breast, we were going to decrease the recurrences. But then we came back, we understood that even after you do so much, recurrences will happen, and therefore we were giving what we call today as adjuvant therapies. Next. So we come back a whole circle. Today we know that breast cancer is a systemic disease, and that underscores the reason why doctors advise patients to take adjuvant therapy. Next slide. So this was a statement made in 2000 by the National Institute of Health, which said that any tumor more than 1 centimeter should get chemotherapy. But then people soon realized that this bar was too low and many patients were getting unnecessary chemotherapy. Next. So we soon understood that there were so many other factors that could decide whether we can give, whether we should give chemotherapy, some of them, or we can avoid. And some of them are shown here how we improved in our understanding of the biology of the disease. And why we should not treat everybody is because it can produce all the toxicities that are given on the right side, including financial toxicity. Next. So how do we go about it? We have some molecular profiling of the breast cancers today, and one of the first one that came in was called the Oncotype DX, which looks at genetic analysis and tells if some patients are really low risk, who can be avoided this adjuvant therapy, or high risk, who should get. Next. Soon we had 6 different prognostic signatures, and there is a paper to compare all these and tell us which is the best. Next. So as I said, tremendous advances, great progress benefiting many patients, many of them are cured, but recurrences happen. Next. Can you play this? I just want you to watch this video for a minute and have your own thoughts on this video. There is some sound if you can put it. up because tiger is supposed to be a very powerful creature that we have. And as oncology doctors, we think we are great, we've done a great job. But recurrences happen and that's a monkey. So I just wanted to show that. So recurrences, we have local, regional and distant. This is important for us to remember. And this is a beautiful talk from Dr. Angelina from the University of Pennsylvania. I just taken this to say that dormant cells has potential targets in developing therapies to prevent breast cancer. So we today know that with all the available imaging modalities, we are not able to pick up very small amount of disease that produces recurrences. Next slide. You will be wondering why I'm putting Harry Potter's picture here. So what happens is many cells here, next, become dormant like this cloak and they stay inactive, which cannot be picked up by all the therapies that we noted, cannot be killed or picked up by the imaging modalities. So we believe that some of these cancer cells have a dormancy and they continue to be there and come back to the next slide. So how can we treat these patients who have a lower risk of recurrence, or how can we decrease the risk of recurrence? Next. So one of the things that we do is give them adjuvant chemotherapy, and for those patients who have ER positive, we give them hormonal therapy. So for these patients, if we don't give any adjuvant therapy, the risk is 30%. By giving a drug called tamoxifen, we decrease it by 50%. Next. And by using the next group of drugs called anastrozole, we decrease it by another 26%. We have newer drugs coming in which are known to decrease this recurrence even further. So this is one of the things that we do to decrease the recurrences happening. So this is just to show you the various factors that are there which lead to recurrence in early breast cancer. I don't want you to read all this. Next slide. Understanding this, we have two groups of drugs. Two of the drugs from a group called CDK inhibitors. One of them is vancomycin. Next slide. Other one is called ribociclib. So in addition to the drugs that we've used like the aromatase inhibitors, these two drugs are being now used in high-risk patients to decrease the recurrences even further. Next slide. So prevent, why in many patients recurrences do happen and what we can do about preventing this, because many of these patients who have been advised for neglect the doctor's visit, they may postpone it for various things including a family vacation or eating an unhealthy diet and living a sedentary life. I think these two are very, very important, which I heard earlier. Next. I'm sure you can recognize this elegant animal in Africa, the giraffe. So why I put this up is, next. Imagine McDonald's entering Africa, what happens? Next. This is what will happen. So it's important for us to think of our lifestyle including that. Next. So lifestyle modification is very, very important. Next. And many people say, I don't have time for exercise. So I tell them that if you don't have time for exercise, make time for disease. I think that sometimes really works on the psyche of the patient and they try and start devoting some time to be healthy. Next slide. So next I'll touch up, I'll take a small example of lung cancer as well because this is a very important disease across the globe and India as well. Next. We always think that early stage cancer will produce cure. Next. But we know that even in early stage lung cancer, 25 to 30% of these patients, although we do surgery with curative intent, we find that 70% of them come back to the systemic relapse. And all that I mentioned of breast cancer holds good for lung cancer as well. Next. Again, to show you that the recurrences depend on the tumor size and the lymph node status. Next. So this is the progress we have made in treating metastatic breast cancer because most of our lung cancers come in metastatic stage. From 1970 where we had a dismal survival of about 2 to 4 months, we've come a long way. This is a slide of 2000. We now have patients surviving well over 6 to 7 years because of the understanding of the molecular biology of this disease. Next slide. So just to give you an example, there was a patient, the 63-year-old lady who had chest X-ray like this, because there's a very old X-ray. Next. We did a biopsy for this lady. Next. We had a pathway that was dysregulated called the EGFR pathway. Next. And for this we have a drug, just a tablet a day, and she got just got this tablet for 2 months, but you can see the difference. So things like this have really helped lung cancer patients. And many of these patients who are coming stage 4 disease today, as Dr. Ghanshyam mentioned, are living almost 8-9 years. So even stage 4 lung cancer is not a dismal thing. And why we are telling this is again because of the myths that are propagated that if somebody has advanced stage, don't even go to the doctor, go to maybe Kumbh Mela and you'll get moksha immediately. So I think these are myths that we need to get rid of. Next. So this is again just to show you what this drug does. Next. So this is a drug called injected which blocks the intracellular tyrosine kinase domain and blocks all the advantage that the tumor cell has, leading to the death of the tumor cell and clinical benefit for the patient. Next. What I've shown you is just one pathway that we target. This is the pie of the non-small cell lung cancer. Today we have different slices of this pie which can be identified by new molecular methods that we have, which is available almost everywhere in India. And for each one of these slices, we have a specific drug that can be given and that produces a lot of benefit. Next. So this is summary cartoon talking about immunotherapy. We have understood so much about different cells in the body, the immune cells, the cancer cell, the antigen presenting cell, etc. Next. Next. And for understanding this and making us understand and help patients, these two people, James Allison and Tushaku Konjo, these were the scientists who got Nobel Prize for this, making us understand this pathway. In fact, Dr. James was in Dr. Ghanshyam's city last month. Next slide. So this is just to show you that we have several of these immunotherapy drugs that are being used in lung cancer care. Next. And most of them have shown good survival advantage for these patients. I won't go into details for this because there's a mixed audience. Next slide. So how can we decrease the recurrence in non-small cell cancer? Next. By moving these immunotherapy drugs from the stage 4 to use of them in the early stage. Next. So this is the concept for the new adjuvant immunotherapy and next. So now we are using this in early stage lung cancer patients because we know that, as I mentioned in breast cancer also, that there are dormant cells which need to be taken care of. Next. And we are now looking at what we call as circulating tumor DNA. Most of the times we do a biopsy from the tumor that is there to look at the characteristics of a disease. But in lung cancer, many times this is not possible because the lung cancer is very close to vital organs which may produce damage. So we try to look at the tumor that DNA that circulates in the blood. This is called circulating DNA. We are able to analyze the DNA from the blood sample. This is called liquid biopsy. And based on that, we are trying to see if we can again tailor adjuvant therapies for these lung cancer patients. Next. So this I will show you how we have improved in the survival for our patients. Next. So with all these newer things, you can see that the survival bar is going on this slide. Next. So we also today understand that it is not just studying the tumor tissue, but this so-called normal tissue around the tumor, which is of importance. And this is one paper which was recently published talking about looking at the surrounding tissue, the cancer. This is specifically lung cancer, which can tell us whether this will predict for early recurrence of the disease. So this is something very new that's coming. Next. Similar things have happened in colorectal cancer over time. We have shown that the survival has improved. Next. Again, if you remember the lung cancer's pie, same thing happening in colon cancer as well today. Next. And this again is to show you that we've been using circulating DNA to study the progress or recurrence for these patients in colorectal cancers and instituting appropriate therapy. Next. So head and neck cancer, this is very important for our country because again, we are so-called capital of head and neck cancers of the world. This is just to tell you what are all the structures that are involved when we talk about head and neck cancers. Next. So this again is to show you that a lot of patients come up with locally advanced disease or distant metastasis, and if you catch them early, you can definitely give them a cure. Next. But recurrences do happen. This is the flow chart that we follow, how we treat our patients. Next. One of the markers that we have found in head and neck cancer is called EGFR, or epidermal growth factor receptor. And this is just to show you that those patients who have a high level of EGFR do worse. So understanding this, we have a drug. Next. We have a drug that targets this pathway. We call this the anti-EGFR, and there is a drug called bevacizumab. This was one of the first studies published. Our center was fortunate to be a large contributor to this, and we have subsequently published this. Next slide. You must be wondering why I am showing you this. This is a beautiful slide from Cuba. Next. This is a lady scientist who works in Cuba. Her name is Tanya. Next slide. I'm sure you can recognize this as our own country. Next. I don't know how many of you can recognize this lady. Excellent. So why I show you these two ladies are, we always talk in a male-dominated society, but these two are very important for us because the first lady is the one who worked on this molecule called bevacizumab in Cuba, and this is a lady from Bangalore who headed the Biocon organization, and she got this molecule to India. And because of these two people, we are able to save a lot of head and neck cancer patients. Next. So the question people ask is, can I take alternate medicines or supplements? Next. They say that it has zero side effects. Next. And my firm answer is no. Why? This is a very recent article published in 2024 from the Journal of Nephrology, and this talks about the so-called alternate medicines or the herbal medicines which people do believe have no side effects. You can see that it produces so many side effects. This is not an exhaustive list, this is just a part of the whole article. And when patients come and ask me, I say, I don't know what that contains, but I prefer you not taking. So when a patient comes to me, I always ask them if they are taking something else. Many people, they feel that all these natural things can be taken just across the counter because they have no side effect, but we must see that they have a lot of interactions with the drug that we give, and a lot of them can have especially kidney problems. Next. So one of the big articles that came a couple of months ago was the renal injury reduced, and a group of patients went to Amrita Hospital in Kerala with acute renal failure. And all these patients were, they took a history and they were taking herbal medicine along with the anti-cancer drugs. Many of them did die as well. So this is important for us to remember that. I quote this for patients when they ask about taking alternate medicines. Next slide. So they come and tell you chemotherapy is very harmful and patients will become extremely weak and bedridden after chemotherapy. So these, I always tell them we have 1.4 billion population in India and you will get 2.8 billion advices for free. So you must understand what you are hearing and be careful. Next. I tell them, I am not telling that these drugs don't have side effects. These do have side effects. Some of them are these, and I do explain to them. I think it's an important duty for us to explain to them about all the side effects that we have. And we also tell them that we will help you cope with all this. It's like one of the important things that the ladies don't want to take treatment is this loss of hair. Some of them have said, I would rather die than have no hair. But then I need to explain to them that you will get it back. Next slide. They all want to have this protein probably left behind with them. Next. So what I do is I use the patients who have taken treatment. Many of them are volunteering to talk to these new patients. So whatever I tell them, it's not that they will listen to me because they say, you're a doctor, you're just treating patients. So many of my patients who have taken treatment earlier are willing to talk to these new patients. I think that makes a lot of difference. Next. And also that most side effects are just temporary and only if you survive, you will be bothered about this side effect. But if you die, then there is nothing. So you better take treatment. These are temporary and you will get back and talk to the old patients. Next. So treatment is completed. Should I take follow-up every time? Why should I go to the hospital in a few months whenever the doctor asks me to come? So again, there is a question of recurrence. So I have to repeat all that again. And I say, as treatment for early stage is important for a cure. Picking up a recurrence at an early stage is important. Next. So we detect early, we can definitely cure them. And just because it's a recurrence, nothing is lost always. Next slide. So this is something which have come out from the support group, benefit from the experience, ask for help, take an active role, and be realistic about objectives. So these are important. So as you heard, prevention is better than cure, but according to next. Prevention is the best cure. So I think first thing is we need to talk about prevention and preventing recurrences as well. Next. So this is William Osler, who said that the good physician treats the disease and the great physician treats the patient who has the disease. Now many patients come to us with a wad of reports and say, what treatment can I give to this patient? So I tell them I don't treat reports, I treat a human being. Bring the patient, I will see the patient and then see your reports. So I am always reminded of Sir William Osler. Next. So you've seen this already. So what can we do as oncologists? Next. Click. No, can you play that previous video? The previous video was which you copied, or go back and play that video. Yeah. So as oncologists, what we can do is nothing is showing here. Now imagine the cheetah has cancer and the deer has the patient, and as oncologist this is what we are supposed to do. With that I'll stop and thank you very much.
Thank you, Obi. Especially for this cancer, why cancer happens, to what happens, and what we doctors do. Everything he has told. I say that in a nutshell, but you started somewhere and you finished somewhere. Paradigm of what is cancer. I think it is mostly understandable to most of our people that cancer happens within our own body without realizing that something very big, very bad is happening inside us. By the time we realize it's already late, then we delay it, neglecting and bringing in some inhibitions that if I go to the doctor, I will come to know, he will ask me for biopsy. All these things finally delay. Then once you know that you have a cancer, you start looking for a doctor. There you spend a lot of time. In the perspective of Tezpur, I tell you now, whatever Govind has told, all the facilities are there in your hometown, Tezpur town, because you have got a qualified, knowledgeable specialist here, a medical oncologist, a cancer center, dedicated cancer center under ACC. What you get there, you don't get all the machines and laboratories that are required for your treatment or diagnosis. But you get the most biggest thing, that is the advice. What people do not get is a good advice and guidance. And you get it from the local resource, come here, he has come to serve. And what he told me, sir, I have made Tezpur my home. I am serving artists for the last 40 years as I told. And these two young men, he is another one from Maharashtra. He has made Assam a home. And they told me, sir, আপুনি মোৰ লগত আমাৰ লগত অসমীয়াত কথা পাতক যাতে আমি অলপ অসমীয়া শিকিব পাৰোঁ কাৰণ আমি ইয়াতে কাম কৰিম আমাৰ অসমৰ মানুহৰ কাৰণে so that is what is the spirit in today what they have to serve there is more here medical oncology more qualified than me and with a lot of spirit to serve people in this region so I suppose you are a great hand at home and Tezpur very difficult thing. He will not be able to do everything by himself, but he will send you to the place and person where you get the best outcome. He will take you out from the darkness of cancer to the brightness of cancer. There are brightness in cancer because there are cure in some cases of cancer. Thing is that who will get cure or who will get the benefit, who will not, that will be decided by these qualified doctors. Senior oncologist in the northeastern region, I always encourage new blood coming into the discipline, serving our people because it's not a one-man job to treat cancer. Surgeon is required, pathologist is required, medical oncologist is required, radiation oncologist is required, anesthesiologist is required, palliative care person is required, nurses are required, speech therapists are required, physiotherapists are required, audiometrists is required. What now? This is a big team. But it may not be under one roof. If it's not under one roof, you need a guide person who will send you to the respective places. You will give you a flowchart where to go. And that is the best thing. That is empowerment. That's called empowerment. It will empower you. Go this way and you will get it. So I hope the Tezpurian people of my state will go by what advices they get locally and then face Manalabi if it comes to you. I hope it doesn't come to anybody, but if it all comes to you, please take good help which is near you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now I'd like to call Dr. Govindu on stage for a felicitation. I'd like to invite Indrani Tamuli and Manoj Tasmore to kindly come up the stage for the felicitation. I'd like to request Indrani Tamuli to felicitate Govindu sir with a full counter. I'd like to request Manoj Baswantari to present Govindu sir with a mask. The small alright, and also a certificate of participation. So, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. I would now like to invite our honorable speakers, Sarananda sir, Siddhartha sir, Dr. Krishna and may I request Sangeeta Vijay Kumar to kindly present Chidananda Bhuya sir, the senior most oncologist of Northeast Retail, Cancer, please. I'd also like to request Ruby Egg to kindly come over. Trishnamini, as I call out the names, I'd like you to come over, please. Mosumi Sanya. Kindly felicitate Dr. Naresh Jadhav with a full counter. Naresh Jadhav, sir. thank you to felicitate Chiman sir also. Extremely sorry. Please, sir. So, Anil Kore sir would like to. You would like to say something, sir? All the questions have been answered. Okay, fine. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for giving us this beautiful time. Ladies and gentlemen, we are just about to break for lunch, but before we break for lunch, we have another video for you, and also we'd like to felicitate two of the cancer warriors amongst us today, whose videos will be showing you. Luncher পিছত আমাৰ খুবেই সুন্দৰ দুটা টপিক আছে ইতিমধ্যে আমি যিমানখিনি দেখিলোঁ whatever we have seen till now food আমাৰ খাদ্য এটা মেজৰ ৰোল প্লে কৰে কেঞ্চাৰ ৰখাত বা কেঞ্চাৰত বাধা দিয়ে কি ধৰণৰ খাদ্য what food is good for us তাৰ বিষয়ে ক'বলৈ আমাৰ মাজলৈ আহিব মিষ্টাৰ নীলম দত্ত তেওঁ আসাম গৌৰৱ এৱাৰ্ডী আৰু তেওঁ ভাৰতবৰ্ষৰ অনলি অৰ্গেনিক ফাৰ্মাৰ অসমৰ এজন গৌৰৱ গতিকে মই বিচাৰোঁ তেওঁ যেতিয়া আহি পেলাই ইয়াত থিয় হয় তেওঁ যাতে দেখা পায় যে তেজপুৰ এৰাই এতিয়াও তেওঁৰ কথা শুনিবলৈ ৰখি আছে তাৰ ওপৰত ইনচুৰেঞ্চৰ কি কি দৰকাৰ ইনচুৰেঞ্চৰ বিষয়ে জনাবলৈ to tell you a bit about the insurance why it is necessary what are the various schemes available and we have an insurance specialist যোনে his ইনচুৰেঞ্চৰ বিষয়ে ক'ব তাৰ উপৰিও আৰু এটা খুব ইম্পৰ্টেণ্ট টপিক আছে এইটো হৈছে জেনমিক্স তাৰ বিষয়ে মোতকৈ বেছি ডক্টৰ ভেংকটে ভালকৈ ক'ব পাৰিব দুটা টপিকৰ বিষয়ে চ' ডক্টৰ ইকবাল will you please tell them about this before we play the video
जब भी कैंसर का डेवलपमेंट होता है हम कॉन्फ्रेंस में जाके सुनना पड़ता है सुबह से शाम तक लंच के बाद नींद आता है फिर भी बैठ के सुनना पड़ता है और तभी हम आके यहाँ वो डेवलपमेंट्स अप्लाई कर सकते हैं तो हर बार डॉक्टर से ये सफर क्यों होता है आप सब लोग भी कम्युनिटी का भी रेस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है कि लंच के बाद बैठ के सुनना है तो लंच के बाद इम्पोर्टेंट टॉपिक्स भी है इसीलिए पूरा इम्पोर्टेंट बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट टॉपिक जैसे बहुत बार आपको डाउट आता है कि ऑर्गेनिक फूड मतलब क्या है एंड फैमिली में एक मेंबर को कैंसर है तो दूसरे मेंबर को होगा क्या टेस्ट करना चाहिए न्यूज़पेपर में है कि लिक्विड बायोप्सी है ब्लड में टेस्ट करने से कैंसर पता चल रहा है तो वो ब्लड टेस्ट क्या है वो कैसे करना है कैसा होगा उसके लिए तेजपुर का क्या रिलेशन है ये सब भी आफ्टरनून होगा आफ्टर लंच एंड मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंटली जब हम कुछ नहीं कर पाते हैं इन द सेंस थेरेपी नहीं दे पाते ड्रग्स नहीं दे पाते हैं तब भी ये इम्पोर्टेंट है कि हम कैसे जी रहे एंड ऑफ द लाइफ तक उसको बोलते हैं पैलिएटिव केयर उसमें दर्द नहीं होना चाहिए अच्छे से सोना चाहिए अच्छे से चलना चाहिए खाना होना चाहिए तो ये सब चीज़ के लिए जो भी केयर देते हैं उसको पैलिएटिव केयर बोलता है पैलिएटिव केयर से हमको क्वालिटी ऑफ डेथ तो एज एन ऑन्कोलॉजिस्ट मैं कैसे मेरा डेथ होना चाहिए मैं बहुत फिक्स्ड हूँ इन द सेम वे पेशेंट का भी कितना डिग्निटी ऑफ डेथ होना चाहिए बिकॉज कोई भी दर्द में मरना नहीं चाहिए हम सब तो मरना ही है एट पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम बट व्हेन देयर इज अ कैंसर हमारा बस स्टॉप जल्दी आ जाता है थोड़ा हो सकता है जल्दी आता है तो उसमें कैसे धक्के नहीं काटे एक स्मूथ सेलिंग हो जाए लास्ट तक उसके बारे में हमको एक इम्पोर्टेंट टॉपिक है तो ये सब चीज़ भी आफ्टर लंच है तो एक वेजिटेरियन लंच रखा था ताकि आप सब लोग सो न जाए आफ्टर लंच
Continue the video, please.
মই ঢেকিয়াজুলি 8 নং ৱাৰ্ড নিজৰ ঘৰত থাকোঁ তাৰপিছত মোৰ এইটো বেমাৰটো 2020 চনতে আৰম্ভ হ'ল যেতিয়া ধৰা পৰে তেতিয়া ল'ৰাই বহুতো চিকিৎসা কৰিলে মেডিকেলত কৰিলোঁ নৰ্থ ইষ্টাৰ্ণ গুৱাহাটী প্ৰথম তাত কৰি কেমচমলৈ আহিলোঁ অহাৰ পিছত 2 বছৰমানৰ পিছত নহয় আকৌ 23 চনত হাৰ্টৰ বাঢ়িলে এইখিনি ঠিকে আছিলোঁ সম্পূৰ্ণ ভালেই আছিলোঁ তাৰপিছত 23 চনত আকৌ হাৰ্টৰ যেতিয়া বাঢ়িলে তেতিয়া আকৌ ইয়াতে তেজপুৰ হেৰিয়াত নাৰ্ছিং হোমত আকৌ দেখুৱালোঁ আকৌ বায়োপচি কৰিব দিলে বায়োপচি কৰাত আকৌ এই কেঞ্চাৰ বুলি হেৰি কৰিলে তেওঁলোকে চিকিৎসা সেই হিচাপে মোক 15টামান কেমত দিলে কিজনী অনবৰত অহা যোৱা কৰোঁ ৰাতিপুৱা 8টাতে যাওঁ কেতিয়াবা 7টা বাজে কেতিয়াবা 6টা বাজে এনেকৈ মানে দিনটো কেমত লৈ সেইটো কোৰ্চ শেষ কৰিলোঁ
নমস্কাৰ মোৰ নাম গৌৰৱ নাজানছি মই শোণিতপুৰ জিলাৰ চহৰৰ 8 নম্বৰ বাসিন্দা মোৰ মা কোনোবাই আছিল তেখেতৰ 2020 চনত জ্যেষ্ঠৰ টিউমাৰ হৈছিলে আমি TMC তেজপুৰ মেডিকেল কলেজৰ ডক্টৰ কৌশিক দেখাইছোঁ তেখেতে ক'লে যে আপোনাৰ এই বস্তুটো অকণ বেয়া হ'লে গৈছে চাগৈ আপুনি এটা FMC কৰিব লাগে আমি FMC তেজপুৰ মেডিকেল কলেজত কৰাৰ পিছত তেওঁ ক'লে যে অপাৰেশ্যন কৰিব লাগিব আৰু ডক্টৰ বৰুৱা নৰ্থ ইষ্ট কেঞ্চাৰ হস্পিটেল যোৰাবাট তাত আমি দেখুৱালোঁ মা দেখুৱালোঁ আৰু বৰুৱা অপাৰেশ্যন কৰি কৰাৰ পিছত তাতে গৈ পেলাই আমি ট্ৰিটমেণ্ট 6টা কেমো দিলোঁ মোক ক'লে যে বয়স যথেষ্ট বেছি আছে আচলতে মাৰ বাৰেতো আমি গম পোৱা নাই কিবা চাৰ্টিফিকেট আছিলে আমি আজি 79 মান নিজক ভাল বস্তু বুলি ভাবিছিলোঁ তাৰপিছত আমি তাতে কেমো দিলোঁ কেমো দিয়াৰ পিছত যথেষ্ট ভাল হোৱাৰ মা চিন্তা আৰু আমি যিবিলাক ফুল দেখিছে ফুল চুলৰ পৰা আদি কৰি গোটেই কামবিলাক এটা ক্ৰিয়েটিভিটি আছে গোটেই কামখিনি তেওঁ কৰিছে 2023 চনত আকৌ বেমাৰ হ'ল তাৰপিছত আমি তেজপুৰ দেখুৱালোঁ বিচাৰে দেখুৱালোঁ যোগাযোগ কৰা বিচাৰে চাই পেলাই ক'লে যে যথেষ্ট বয়স হৈছে আমি খালি কেমোটো পাৰ্ট কৰি এটা কেমো 3টা পাৰ্ট কৰি পেলাই দিম তেনেকৈ আমি প্ৰথমতে 9টা দিলোঁ 3টা কেমো 9টা হ'বলৈ গ'ল তাৰ সাধাৰণতে আকৌ গোটাই দিলোঁ 15টা কেমো আমি তেওঁ দিলোঁ ইয়াৰ পিছত মা যথেষ্ট ভাল আৰু এটা বস্তু ভাল লাগে কি মা বেমাৰটো শ্ৰেষ্ঠ হৈ গ'ল বেমাৰটো বুলি ভাবি নাথাকে মানসিকভাৱে যথেষ্ট সবল শক্তিশালী
জীৱনটো বহুত মানে চখ আছিল ফুল চুল লোৱা আমি শাল বওঁ খুব শাল তাঁতশালত গামোচা বওঁ চাদৰ মেখেলা বওঁ নানা ধৰণৰ কাপোৰ বওঁ বেড কভাৰ বওঁ তাৰপিছতে আকৌ ফুল চুল গুঠা বেজী কাম সমস্ত কৰোঁ ঘৰত আগতে তাৰ মাজতো ভাত পানী ৰন্ধা বঢ়া কাম বাৰীত শাক পাচলিও লগাওঁ সেইবিলাক যত্ন কৰোঁ আৰু ফুলত বহুত চখ ফুল বহুত ফুল দিওঁ মই এতিয়া নৰখা পৰা নাই ফুল এতিয়াও মনৰ ফুল চাইডে চাইডে আছে বহুতো ফুলৰ চখ আছে আৰু কিতাপ চিতাপ খুব পঢ়িছোঁ মই পেপাৰ সদায় পঢ়োঁ পেপাৰখন এই আজি অন্তত পঢ়া নাই কিতাপ বাহিৰা কিতাপ আলোচনী নাই খোৱা মই অকণো ভয় খোৱা শুনি আছোঁ মানুহ কিছুমান বেমাৰ এইটো বেমাৰ হ'লে কোনোবাই হাৰ্ট ফেইল কৰি কিবাও হৈছে কিছুমান ঘৰত নাখায় নবৈ শুকাই কিনে অৱস্থা নহয় মোৰ কিন্তু পুৰা বেমাৰ এটা হৈছে দেখুৱাইছে ল'ৰাই কষ্ট বহুত কৰিলে অনা নিয়াকৈ বহুত কষ্ট কৰিলে সেইমতে চিকিৎসা কৰিছে ভাল হৈছে আৰু বেমাৰটো হৈছে বুলি মই চিন্তা কৰি থকা নাই এটা বেমাৰ হৈছে এতিয়া ভাল বেয়াটো কিবা এটা হ'ব ন
মাৰ যেতিয়া কেঞ্চাৰ বেমাৰ হৈ গ'ল মা কেমো লৈ অহাৰ পিছত 20 চনৰ পিছত এইখন আছে 2020 চনৰ অক্টোবৰত মাৰ অপাৰেশ্যন হৈছে নৰ্থ ইষ্ট কেঞ্চাৰ কেয়াৰ কেমো চেমো লৈ অহাৰ পিছত এইখন মায়ে বনাইছে এইবিলাক যিমানটা বস্তু আছে বেগ এটা বেগ আছে ছোৱালী বনাইছে মোৰ সৰু ছোৱালী বনাইছে লগৰ বেগ তাৰমানে যথেষ্ট তেওঁলোকে কষ্ট কৰিব পাৰে আৰু সেইটো এটা বিষয় লৈ পেলাই তেওঁলোকে বুজি নাথাকে
ঠিক আছে মই ক'ব বিচাৰিছোঁ যে এতিয়া মোৰতো এইটো বেমাৰ মই ইমান চিন্তা কৰি থাকে নাই বাকী ভগৱানৰ যেন কাৰোবাৰ যে হ'বলগীয়া আছে এই বেমাৰটো কোনো চিন্তা কৰিব নালাগে কাৰণ এইটো চিকিৎসা কৰিলে বহুতখিনি ভাল হোৱা হেৰি আছে কিন্তু অকণমান সময় থাকিবই কষ্ট সেইকাৰণে মই সকলোলৈকে হেঁচা কৰি যাতে কোনো বেমাৰটো হ'লে যেন ভয় খাব নালাগে আৰু কোনো চিন্তা কৰি থাকিব নালাগে।
Amazing lady. I had the good fortune of visiting her. So, as Dr. Venkat said, we have an initiative on Oncology on Wheels. I and my team, we went there.
আকৌ 23 চনত হাৰ্টৰ বাহিৰে এইখিনি ঠিকে আছিল সম্পূৰ্ণ ভালেই আছিল। তাৰপিছত 23 চনত আকৌ হাৰ্টৰ যেতিয়া
We also have the son of Sunmay Rasbonsi with us. They are requested to kindly come over here. And I'd like to request, is he here? Mr. Rasbonsi, please come over. And I'd like to request Mr. Dul Goswami to kindly come and felicitate him with a council, please. Can I have a big round of applause for them, please? These are warriors who inspire us. These are the people who have given us the courage. These are the people who gives me, Dr. Venkat, the courage to smile, to move ahead, even after seeing so many of drawbacks everywhere. The son of Sunmay Rasbonsi, I have never seen a braver lady than her. Thank you very much. So it is a grateful lunch. The lunch was supposed to be from 2:30 to 2, but unfortunately we have almost reached 1:35. So I think it will be nice if you can have a quick lunch and reassemble by 2:15. So by 2:15 we can start off the next round. So I request everybody to please be with us. Amar logot thako. Amar mango utkali ojare dhoroner bohu aru ami bhal bhal kotha bolabo paro. Dhonnobad. Ahok, kiba khai.